What's up, everyone? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. Today, we're talking some college football. It's week 11. We will be discussing the Wednesday slate. Maction is back. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other videos go live. If you've done that, thank you. It does help us a lot. We are also brought to you by Bet365. They have a deal right now where you can bet $5 and get $200 in the form of bonus bets. All you have to do is make your first deposit, place a $5 wager on any game, could be a side or total, whether it wins or loses. You are getting those $200 in the form of bonus bets. And better yet, we have a link join set up. This is the best deal I personally think we've ever had, where you can still take advantage of those promos. But if you do it via this page, you're also getting one free month of our Tails Discord. That is a free month. It has a ton of value. You can pick your creator. Myself, I'm in there. Ben's in there. Eric, Laffy, all the NFL guys. There's basically something for every single sport. And the best part about this, you're still getting those promos we talked about. You see Bet365 right here. You can use this more than once. Say you want to sign up at Bet365 and Caesars. That's 2 months of our Tails package. You can mix and match those however you'd like. All you have to do is follow these steps. Of course, you must be 21 or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Take advantage of this. I can guarantee you it will not be around forever. All right, let us go to Maction. We have a fun slate. I love Maction. You guys know this, especially if you watched the video yesterday. I'll give you the same disclaimer. First and foremost, Maction is a volatile conference, very volatile. The worst teams are not all that far from the best teams, maybe with the exception of Kent State, but there's still a pretty good chance they get a win this year. Here's our live odds screen at Odd Shopper. Right now it is on totals. I'm going to bring you back to point spreads. But the reason I like Maction more than Conference USA is I think you just have better overall football. A lot of down transfers in this conference. These teams score more points. They still are really volatile, though, so I'll just come back to that. Be careful with these teams. Make sure you do your research, and that's part of the reason we are doing these videos, to give you all the information you need. So let's kick things off with Ohio taking on Kent State. It's a big spread because we have the worst team in the MAC playing. You can find this between 18 and 19 points. Ohio is kind of predictably taking a lot of money so far. The total is currently 52 points in that ballpark. Actually, both these games are. And we touched on it. Kent State is the worst team in this conference, maybe the worst team in the country, at least at the FBS level. They have yet to win a game. They are going to be underdogs at every game this year, but they've shown a little bit of life recently. They did score 21 points on Western Michigan, 6 on Bowling Green, 35 on Ball State, 33 on Eastern Michigan. So they're not stone dead. However, they are on a third-string quarterback. They've already lost Devin Cargman. They've lost J.D. Sherrod, which has left us with Tommy Ulikowski. More on him later. Their projected starting running back, Gavin Garcia, they lost him way, way long ago. One of their interior offensive linemen, Elijah Williams. On defense, Oliver Balot at defensive tackle, Jair Rollison at corner, Alex Branch at corner, Kanan Williams at linebacker, Rocco Nickel at linebacker. They've all been injured to some degree. Nickel did play some limited snaps in the last game, but had to exit. On top of being a team that was already playing from behind to start the year, they've just been dealt with so many injuries that it's been hard for them to overcome. Tommy Ulikowski is a 42.5% completion percentage at quarterback, 7.7 yards per attempt. 6 interceptions, 11 turnover-worthy plays. That's about average. The offensive line is doing him no favors. They are allowing a 48% pressure rate, 125th in pass blocking, dead last, 134 out of 134 in run blocking. We've heard rumblings that they might use a fourth stringer at some point in time. That is Ruel Tomlinson. He is a walk-on, I believe. He's a freshman. Very young kid. I don't know if we see him at all, but this team is a disaster. On top of the offensive struggles, and I mean, they basically have one good player. It's Krishawn McCray. He's probably going to transfer after this year, sad as it is. But, I mean, a lot of these struggles are to be expected. This team basically is a healthy offensive line from last year. They've made no strides, which is tough to see. And then the defense is just battered. And you look at some of the metrics for this defense, 125th overall, 115th in run defense, 96th in pass rush, 124th in coverage. They're not doing really anything well. And now they have to face Ohio, who's been a surprising team this year, but one of the better teams in the MAC. On the Ohio side, the major injuries are Austin Brawley at safety, Blake Leak at linebacker. He played limited snaps, so we'll see on him. Obviously, all these MAC teams have had a bye, so there's a chance they're healthier. On offense, Jacob Dennison at tackle, and then Anthony Tyus at running back is out for the year. I thought the Anthony Tyus injury last time Ohio played was going to be a big difference maker for them. I actually bet Buffalo in a game where Ohio slaughtered Buffalo 47-16, and that was just a bad bet. You look behind the scenes, underlying metrics in that game did not favor Buffalo at all, just wrong. But part of the premise was losing their best player, Anthony Tyus, who's a Northwestern transfer, I thought was going to limit them. You look at their offensive numbers prior to that game, the best unit they had was just their running back efficiency. They're 37th in the country there. A lot of that on the back of Tyus. They're 115th in pass blocking, 91st in run blocking. So the infrastructure wasn't that great. But they were able to replicate that production even without him, which was positive to see if you're an Ohio backer. As far as the quarterback play for this team goes, Parker Navarro's been up and down. He's also dealt with injury. But at the end of the day, he has a 66% completion, 7.9 yards per attempt, exactly 7 touchdowns and 7 picks, 7 big-time throws, but 10 turnover-worthy plays. His best skill comes on the ground. 6.2 yards per carry. He already has 507 rushing yards. So that's certainly part of the equation, and maybe something I underrated in that Buffalo matchup is just Parker Navarro can do a lot of this on his own. So you look at Kent State, they've allowed a ton of production to basically every quarterback they faced this year. The only guys that were even pedestrian were Cole Snyder and Caden Simonza from Buffalo and Ball State, two of the worst teams in this conference. Since then, they've allowed 11.6 yards per attempt to Connor Bazelak, 9.9 yards per attempt to Hayden Wolf. The rushing numbers are atrocious just across the MAC. 6.3 yards per attempt on the ground to Delbert Mims of Eastern Michigan. 10.4 yards per attempt to Vaughn Pemberton of Ball State. 5 yards per carry to Bowling Green's Terrion Stewart. 7.3 to Western Michigan's Jalen Buckley, among other problems. Even with some of the issues that Ohio's had at points through the year, this team should absolutely roll. They just rolled Buffalo. The Miami-Ohio game, they lost. It was one where Navarro wasn't playing the whole time. The Central Michigan game, they won by 2 points. You dig under the hood there. That should have been way worse. Ohio was at 7.2 yards per play. Central Michigan was at 4.8. That could have been much, much larger margin of victory for this team. And Kent State, although they have been close in games, closer, their underlying metrics aren't fantastic here. I'm seriously debating a position on this Ohio team, even on the road. And it's kind of shoot now or wait, I think. There is a lone 17.5. That is completely fine. I was hoping we might get a 17 in there, but it looks far more likely that this goes through 19 at some point as we get closer to kickoff. Haven't bet it yet, but I will keep you guys posted and let you know. Another game, Northern Illinois takes on Western Michigan. I think this is the best MAC game of the week. Obviously, the other 4 teams are on bye. And this contest, 2.5 points, 1.5 points, depending on where you look, it seems to have settled sort of as a consensus at 1.5 in favor of Northern Illinois, the road team. And the total in this game is also 52 or thereabouts most places you find. I'm a little confused by this line, and I'm very interested in Western Michigan. As I've dug into this, haven't really found anything that has suggested otherwise. Northern Illinois has had a lot of weird stuff happen to them this year. They obviously beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame had the missed kick at the end of the game. They lost to Buffalo, where they had an 89% post-game win expectancy. They lost to North Carolina, where they had an 81% post-game win expectancy. But they've also had 2 straight losses to Toledo and Ball State. What happened in those games? Toledo actually outgained Northern Illinois 4.4 to 4.2. That was a very close contest, so no real shame there. And then they did outgain Ball State 5.6 yards per play to 5.2. But Western Michigan has been on an absolute tear. They're on 4 straight wins, 4-0 in this conference. Their losses all came in non-con to Marshall, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. The Marshall game is probably the biggest concern. They were outgained 6.6 yards per play to 4.5. So that's at least noteworthy. Northern Illinois has been so hurt this year, and they appear to be fully healthy in this spot. I mean, this team has been without their running back one, Antario Brown. They've had games where they didn't have Trayvon Rudolph, their number 1 receiver. Ethan Hampton has been in and out of the lineup for this team. A lot of injuries on offense, and they finally returned everybody. On defense, this was a unit that had 10 of 11 starters back from last year. They all appear fully healthy now, too. Obviously, the MAC does release an injury report. It comes out the day of. So watch this, but I think this is the healthiest Northern Illinois has been all year long. Then you go to the other side. There are some injuries for Western Michigan. Anthony Sambucci was limited. He played a few snaps in the last game, not fully. Bugs Mortimer missed their last game. Chris Tuttle, the backup tight end, missed. They've been rotating guards. The biggest things are on defense. They've had Ontario Thompson, who's a defensive tackle, Corey Walker, an edge, Bilal Cohn at corner, Damari Robertson at corner, Maxon Nelson at defensive tackle, either miss or all play under 50% of the snaps. This is super hard to parse because they're coming off a game where they played Kent State. Was this by design? Obviously, the MAC has really bad injury reporting. A lot of these teams don't have designated beat reporters. So this is just something to watch. Don't have any of these guys flagged as super liable to miss the game, but just worth noting. As far as the in-game stuff goes, Northern Illinois, their QB Ethan Hampton, 58% completion, 6.9 yards per attempt. He has 9 touchdowns, 5 picks, 5 big-time throws, 11 turnover-worthy plays, semi-mobile, 113 yards on the ground for 3.1 yards per carry. This O-line is awesome. They're 45th overall in pass blocking, 6th in run blocking. And when fully healthy, this is one of the better skill position groups in the entire MAC. Trayvon Rudolph, I mean, he could be the best receiver in this conference, and I wouldn't bat an eye if he made that argument. Their running backs, Ontario Brown and Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams is an Iowa transfer, if I'm not mistaken. And Ontario Brown is a veteran. He's been with this team for a while. He's one of the best, most productive backs for this team. The O-line, all of them hail from my very own Wisconsin, so I love this offensive line. But they had 3 starters back this year, and they've been an excellent unit. As far as defense goes for this Western Michigan team, they've been porous. Western Michigan is a shootout team. They need to win via shootout. They're 103rd in total defense, 111th against the run. That's very, very concerning against Northern Illinois' rushing attack. But they're also 90th in coverage. They've had a lot of problems here. However, this offense has not been stopped really since they got into the MAC, Western Michigan's that is. Hayden Wolf, an Old Dominion transfer, 69% completion for 8.5 yards per attempt, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. He has 9 big-time throws and 3 turnover-worthy plays. This is super impressive considering they played Wisconsin and Ohio State. Now, the Wisconsin game was close. Ohio State, they got battered, which was predictable. But still, he wasn't a guy that was losing them those games. Their offensive line is even better than Northern Illinois, 16th in pass blocking, 4th in run blocking. They have a slew of excellent running backs. And Jalen Buckley missed a lot of this year too, but it's not just him. Jaden Nixon is an Oklahoma State transfer. Zahir Abdus-Salam has been with the team for a while. They did play without Kenneth Womack for the first month of the year as he broke his hand. He's back now. They have 6 offensive linemen who are starting experience. And the real problem with their defense, I'm not sure what it is. They returned all 11 guys with starting experience from last year, but they have not taken a step forward. That's the biggest problem. Northern Illinois has a great defense, so they're the more balanced team. 29th overall, 23rd in run defense, 70th in pass rush, 29th in coverage. So this is the big question. Can they actually stand up to the best offense in the MAC? I think right now you have a chance to buy a little low on this Western Michigan team, especially with like some of the games that Northern Illinois played. Notre Dame was a disaster, but still a really key win. NC State was a disaster with CJ Bailey. And since then, they have allowed some production. So I think it's a little bit of a buy low on Western Michigan. I don't know where this line settles, but I think there's a chance Northern Illinois takes money. I won't bet this unless it gets closer to 3, but I do have interest in that side. It's just an underdog playing at home here. That'll do it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment if I missed anything. Reach out on Twitter if you have any questions at Matt_Gajewski. We'll be back talking football all week, so make sure to stick around and check those out. Until next time, good luck.